Dear students, in this class we are going to learn plant-insect interaction during pollination. It is an interesting topic. Some entomophilous plants have special adaptations for the insect visitor, that is pollinators, to help in cross-pollination. Now we are going to learn some interesting adaptations seen in Salvia, Yucca, Amorphophallus, Ophrys and fig. Firstly, let us see pollination in Salvia. Salvia is an inflorescence. You know what is inflorescence? A cluster of or a group of small flowers in a floral axis forms an inflorescence, and it is a bisexual flower. That is, it has both male and female sex organs. Though it has both sex organs, it does not perform self-pollination. So, it has some special adaptations for cross-pollination. Bees are the main visitors to collect the nectar from this flower and help in cross-pollination. So, Salvia is an entomophilous flower because pollination is performed by insects. Let us know what adaptations are seen in this flower. I already told it is a bisexual flower and it is protandrous. It means the stamens mature earlier than stigma. You would have learnt about this when you studied contrivances of cross-pollination. It comes under dichogamy. Can you remember? Okay, let us learn the structure of this flower. This is the longitudinal section of Salvia flower. The corolla of this flower is bilabiate. You know what is corolla? The whorl of petals is called corolla. So, corolla consists of petals, the colorful part. Here, the corolla of this flower has two lips-like structure. So, it is called bilabiate. It has 5 petals. The 2 petals are joined together to form the upper lip, and the lower lip is formed by 3 petals. Now, let us see how the stamens look. It has 2 stamens. These stamens are different from the normal stamen. You know the structure of normal stamen. This is the structure of typical stamen, that is normal stamen. Stamen consists of anther and filament. The anther is bilobed. It has 2 lobes, and these lobes are separated by a connective. But in Salvia, the anther lobes are separated by a long connective. So, it has upper lobe and lower lobe. The upper lobe is fertile one and the lower lobe is sterile one. This is connected with the filament, short filament. So, it can easily swing like seesaw. If the sterile lobe is pressed, it comes down. If it is released, it comes back to the position. It is called staminal lever mechanism. This is the female part of the flower called pistil. It has long style. This is the stigma and these are the ovaries. When a bee comes to collect nectar from this flower, it sits on the lower lip. The lower lip acts as the landing platform for the bees. The bee enters into the flower by pushing its head into the corolla. The nectar is present in the hollow portion of the corolla. During this action, its body strikes against the sterile end of the connective. It makes the fertile lobe of the stamen to come down and drop the pollen onto the back of the bee. Now the pollen gets deposited on the back of the bee. Then the bee moves to the next flower. After dropping pollen on the back of the bee, the stamens wither. That is, it will dry. As it is protandrous, now it is time for maturation of female reproductive part. So now stigma matures. When this bee visits another flower, the matured stigma comes down and rub against the body of the bee and collects the pollen. Thus, pollination is completed in Salvia. Now, let us learn how pollination occurs in Yucca flower. The relationship between Yucca flower and Yucca moth is an example for obligate mutualism. In obligate mutualism, one organism cannot survive without the other. Yucca flower is also an inflorescence made up of many individual white flowers hanging downwards in groups from a stalk or spike. Many species of Yucca plant can be pollinated by only one species of Yucca moth. The scientific name of Yucca moth is Tegeticula yuccacilla. These Yucca moths use the Yucca flowers as a safe place to lay their eggs. The female Yucca moth collects the pollens from the Yucca flower and makes them into a golden ball. It carries the golden ball of pollen and flies to the other Yucca plant. It inserts her egg-laying device into the ovary wall of the flower near the partition between the adjacent ovary sections. It is the thinnest portion. The slender egg is inserted into the ovule chamber. After inserting her egg into the ovary, it climbs to the top of the ovary where the stigma is present. The moth pushes the golden ball of pollen into the central stigmatic depression. This action is genetically programmed in Yucca moth. Then fertilization takes place. The seeds of the ovary and the eggs of the moth develop together. The egg hatches into larva and feeds on developing seeds. It does not eat all the seeds. It leaves some seeds for the plant to reproduce. The moth cannot complete its life cycle without Yucca flower, and Yucca plant cannot reproduce without the moth. So, it is the best example for co-evolution and obligate mutualism. Now, let us learn how pollination occurs in Amorphophallus. It is the largest flower. It can grow up to 10 feet tall. This flower is also called corpse flower because it smells like rotting flesh. The yellow rod-like structure is the spadix. The burgundy colored large circular petal that looks like a skirt is its spathe. The spathe is nothing but a modified leaf. The real male and female flowers are seen at the base of the spadix. The yellow colored male flowers are arranged as corn kernel. The female flowers look like small bulbous stalk. The fully blooming flower smells like a dead animal and attracts the pollinators. The insects visit the flower as it is a good place for laying eggs. Collect the pollen from one flower and transfer it to the other flower. Let us learn pollination of bee orchid. Bee orchid flower called Ophrys epiphyra mimics the shape and scent of female wasp Colpa. It attracts the male wasp. The male wasp visits the flower to fuse with it, thinking that it is the female wasp. This action is called pseudo-copulation. During this action, the orchid transfers some of its pollen to the wasp. There is another example for plant-insect interaction. It is seen in fig, bearing the scientific name Ficus carica. In Tamil, it is called Athipalam. It is pollinated by the wasp bearing the scientific name Blastophaga sciens. Now, let us see the structure of fig. Fig trees have no visible flowers. A fig is actually the stem of an inflorescence, which is fleshy and surrounds the tiny flowers inside. They are pollinated by very small wasps. The male flowers are located near the ostiole and the female flowers are seen inside. When the female flowers are ready for pollination, the fig emits an aroma which attracts the female wasps. These wasps get inside through the small opening of the fig called ostiole. They visit all the female flowers and spread the pollen collected from the previous fig where it was born. And they lay eggs inside the future seeds, that is ovules. This pollen will allow all the seeds to grow. The larvae of wasps are nourished by the seeds. Thus, pollination takes place in fig. Some visitors consume pollen and nectar from the flowers and do not help in pollination. They are called pollen or nectar robbers. அதாவது போலனையும் நெக்டரையும் கொள்ளையடிச்சிரும். Example, carpenter bee and bumble bee. These robbers feed from the holes bitten in flowers. They do not enter the flower through their natural openings and avoid contact with the floral reproducting structures. Okay children, so far we have learnt plant-insect interaction in pollination. Thank you children.